What is up, my fellow Twibbians? I am Logan, the Totally Epic Gamer, and today I'm going to be going through a Warlock deck that has pretty much been dominating the scene recently on Hearthstone. The point of the deck is that you have all these really low-cost minions that you buff up to the point where they will take out high-cost minions while costing 1. And I'm going to go through the deck list, and then I'm going to show you a few games of it and what the deck's really like. So it makes a lot of sense once you really look at the deck. It's very strong and it's very obvious what you're supposed to do. So you have Soulfire here, pretty much deal 4 damage, discard a random card. You don't want to keep Soulfire in your hand at the very beginning. You kind of want to draw that card later on when you're going to start piling through your cards easier, and discarding a random card won't work because you won't have a card in your hand at all. Mortal Coil is really good for the early game, and this is where you excel. This deck excels at the early game. You throw out so many minions in the early game that when they board clear you, you throw out another board full of creatures, and they're like, fuck, I don't have another board clear. And most of the time, you won't get to the point of like Flame Strikes and Blizzards. That part of the game, once it gets there, it's already too late. If they have to use that at 6 and 7, it's already too late. They've already lost. There's too much on the board for them to really deal with already. So Mortal Coil is really good for the early game. Take out their 1-cost minions and draw a card. It's really strong. Power Overwhelming, it's pretty much just there for that finisher. You're not generally going to want to actually kill off your minions with this 4/4, but it's really good for taking out big minions. So you can drop, say, Ardent Squire is not a good idea, but Abusive Sergeants on the field, and they have like, let's say 4/6, whatever. There's no creature like that, but say there's a 4/6. Power Overwhelming, boom. Your 2 mana 2 cards just took out their 1 card that's like 7 mana or whatever the hell it is, which is an overpowered combination, very strong, and it's also a good finisher. Extra 4 damage on the board whenever you need it. Abusive Sergeant, again, this is just for you to win trades. If you have Ardent Squire on the field and they throw down, say, Ironfur Grizzly, and you're like, whoa, I can't deal with that Ardent Squire, or that with Ardent Squire, so Abusive Sergeant, boom, you're 1 just beat a 3. Unbelievable. It's just very strong. Flame Imp, just amazing cost. Costs 1 mana, and it's a 3/2. You deal 3 damage to yourself, but the point of the thing is, the board is that you'll have so much board control that dealing damage to yourself won't matter. The only decks you really lose to is to the Face Hunters. Voidwalker, very strong early game, especially if you also get a Young Priestess. Say I go second and I get Voidwalker, Young Priestess. This is the point of the deck. Everything combos so perfectly that you just you're like, oh, these combos will never come up, but one of them will, and just one of the combos coming up is good enough. Ardent Squire, Abusive Sergeant combo, Voidwalker, Young Priestess combo, Flame Imp, Young Priestess combo. Those combos are all amazing. A Flame Imp 3/3, that's unheard of. But a 1/4 Voidwalker is amazing because even their turn 2 card can't kill your Voidwalker in 1 turn, which means it automatically is a value card and just trades well. Blood Mage Thanos is pretty much there if you need to Mortal Coil for 2, or it's really just deck draw card. It's better than Loot Hoarder because it gives you +1 spell damage, and it's better than Novice Engineer because, again, it gives you +1 spell damage. So it's just pretty much the alternative there. You just go for a deck draw. Direwolf Alpha is amazing in this deck because what you're going to do is you're going to load up the board early, and then you're like, throw down Direwolf Alpha, and suddenly your 1/1 Ardent Squire can trade with any 3/2 on the board or anything with a 2 health, and it won't die. It's unbelievable. Just a strong card overall. A Knife Juggler is obvious because you have all these 1-drops. You have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 1-drops. Yeah, Knife Juggler is very strong. Arcane Golem, just for the finisher, that's all it's there for. Iron Beak Owl is, if there's a creature like they get to turn 8 and they Tyrion Forward Ring you, boom, Iron Beak Owl, you just dealt with it. Harvest Golem, just because it's so much value. It's a 2/3, say you throw down Harvest Golem, throw down Direwolf Alpha on it, it's now a 3/3, and when it dies you get a 3/1. Just an overall strong card. Dark Iron Dwarf, much like Abusive Sergeant, but you only put 1 in your deck because it's too high of a mana curve to have 2. Defender of Argus, same thing. You're gonna have so many cards on the board that giving +1/+1 to 2 cards is just unheard of and just super strong for you. Leroy Jenkins, there for the finisher. Also, you can combo Leroy Jenkins with Mortal Coils to get free cards. It's pretty cool like that. Ardent Squire, again for the finisher and for the value. They can throw down some creature with 4 health, you kill it, and you still have your card. Just overall great value. The point of this deck is really just value and out trading your opponent over and over. So we're gonna play a couple games. So here's a game. I'm going up against a Druid here. Druids usually have a tough time against Warlocks, especially because I'm going second. I get the huge advantage of having the coin. So here I can Young Priestess, coin Abusive Sergeant. I'm not going to because that's a waste of a play. It would be a waste of my Abusive Sergeant, and the point of this deck is to outtrade your opponent. But this is not a waste of a play. The double Young Priestess, which is a fairly strong play. They both become 2/2s, no longer able to be killed by his Shapeshift. And next turn I will Direwolf Alpha, making them both 3/2s. So pretty much what I just did was I turned 1-cost creatures into 2-cost creatures without actually increasing their cost. So he was forced to Wrath on turn 1, or his second turn, sorry, which is not good for him. That's pretty rough, especially because it doesn't stop here. Now he's gonna have a pretty tough time. If he were to throw down Harvest Golem right now, which is pretty much one of the only 3 cards that are available, Power of the Wild. Okay, so he chooses to not even. Wow, instant concede. He just knew it was instantly over because he actually screwed up his Power of the Wild there. He did +1/+1 to all creatures, and he didn't have any creatures on the board, so he kind of whiffed his play there. And that's people generally give up on Warlocks because it's just too much aggro too quickly. So I'm gonna try and find another game for you. So here we're going against a mage. We have a pretty strong opening hand here, plus we get the coin, which is pretty good for this deck. The only thing we actually really don't need here is the Blood Mage Thanos, so we're actually gonna get rid of that. There we go. We draw an Abusive Sergeant, which is pretty good. So on our first turn, especially if they play nothing, we're gonna play Flame Imp, which is almost always one of the best cards you can run. You may do 3 damage to yourself, but it costs 1 card, and unless they're to the face, that 3 damage is negligible. And he is forced to Flame Strike this turn, which is unfortunate for him. So we pull Leroy Jenkins, which is a great card to have. We have 10 damage in hand right now. So now all the damage you do is really good because it'll be to the face. And so we're going to do 6 damage this turn. So we have him at 24 now. Now he's turn 3. If he Fire Blasts again, he will almost it'll feel like he's wasting his turn 3, so he probably won't Fire Blast. Arcane Missiles is a great alternative. Wow, and he hit exactly what he needed to hit. That was an unbelievable play. The only thing better is if he hit Knife Juggler once, which would have been unheard of. We're going to Harvest Golem here and hope it tinks that. It doesn't, so we don't touch that either. We have 10 damage in hand. That's all we need to really remember at this point. So 10 more damage and we win the game pretty much. So here he's going to choose the Fire Blast. Waste 2 mana on his turn 4, which is a pretty rough turn in my opinion. And here, this may seem like a poor play, but it's fairly good in this scenario. We're going to Defender of Argus, which will leave him in a really tough spot. Before he thought Amani Berserker was a really good idea. Now he's having trouble. We're clearing Amani Berserker there. Generally, I would say go to the face, but since it is Amani Berserker, you want to clear it, because if he Fire Blasts his Amani Berserker, he's trading well with you. He's trading 1 card for the first part of your card, which is, you can get better than that. What we're making him do now is we trade 1 card, then we're going to make him trade another card, and then we're going to make him trade 2. And instead waste his turn on an Azure Drake. So now we take 5 damage, or we have 5 damage, and we choose, okay. We have a lot of damage now. And with this hand, you still hope that you'll get them to 10 health, because you don't want to risk the Soulfire deleting one of your other Soulfires. So, oh, this is a pretty good play by him. So he's gonna trade there, and then I would assume he takes it to the face. Yeah. And here I have a good play to counter that. We have the Divine Shield with another Divine Shield right after, which is a very strong play. We actually lose 0 cards here, and we trade for their 1, and we're that much closer to winning the game. Now he could have Flame Strike this turn, and that would be very good for him. He could also not even be running Flame Strike, but we'll see. He Frostbolts here, pretty much just saying he doesn't have Flame Strike in his hand. And now he has to clear some more cards. Oh, he's running anti-aggro deck. You can tell by the taunts and the fact that he just pulled Earthen Ring Farseer. Earthen Ring Farseer is not good unless you're in a aggro deck, as you can probably assume. We're gonna life tap here, and perfect. We pull Mortal Coil, so we get another free card, and we pull another Mortal Coil, which is very good actually, because now we're gonna do this trade, and we're gonna Mortal Coil again, and we pull Young Priestess, which is also very good for us. And there we go. And now we're back to the same scenario we were at before, where we're hoping that he takes one more extra damage. And to be fair, we actually have that one extra damage. If I put Leroy on the left side of Direwolf Alpha, we have that one extra damage. Now he's gonna Fire Blast here, so we won't for sure have it, but we may all in him, and just hope that Soulfire stays, and we won't have to, because we will have 4 damage no matter what. So we just won the game pretty easily, to be honest. So we're gonna Soulfire here, and you're gonna see if it gets her to flame him, all the better. But see here, we have boom, boom, Arcane Golem. We say well played, and we end the game. And that's pretty much the deck. So much aggression, great trade values, and end game finishers. It's all you can really ask for. It's good against many decks, but the decks you'll find, these are the 2 types of decks on the game right now: anti-aggro and aggro. And that's really because anti-aggro beats aggro, but aggro versus aggro is pretty much a mix-up. And people are having so much trouble going against Warlocks that they have completely changed their deck to fight this Warlock deck. So you need to know the Warlock deck, and if you guys want to run it, probably today won't be the best to run it. Mainly because everybody's running anti-aggro, knowing that Warlock is the flavor right now, and that aggro is super flavorful. But pretty much just a huge mind game within the game itself. Everybody's running anti-aggro because everybody's running aggro. So what you want to do is run a deck that beats anti-aggro. So anything that drops with 2 big creatures, or like just big enough creatures that people are like, wow, I can't deal with those big creatures. Whereas this aggro deck deals with big creatures well because it doesn't let you get there. So this is pretty much just what everybody's running. I just wanted to show you guys. It's the Warlock anti-aggro, or the Warlock, not anti-aggro, the Warlock aggro. And you just flood the board, trade really well, and win the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you forget what the deck is, just go back to the beginning of the video. The deck's all there on the right side. And have a great day, everybody. And don't forget, leave a comment if you don't agree with the deck, and I will try and answer the comments. And don't forget to like, because if you don't like, puppies die. And that shit's gruesome.